Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that your day is going very well. Today is September 24th, and it's super hot here in Central Illinois. We've had a hot snap. So, sitting here on my couch, taking a day off after my marching band competition yesterday, and chilling, doing some stuff I enjoy doing. This is a project I wanted to share and get some comments on because I've never seen anybody use it this way. It's about a free plugin app called Paulstretch. Paulstretch is short for Paul's Amazing Stretcher, I think, and I found it in Audacity. Here I have my Audacity open. Audacity is free, that's why I have it, because money's tough, being a teacher. So anyway, here's what I do, and let me know what you think. So I start out by composing something. I've already finished 8 bars here for one of my demos. It's a really bad 8 or 12 tone row with the mother of all chords and then the grandmother of all chords and then a timpani finisher. And you can see my tempo here is 200. Seems extraordinarily fast, but you'll see why I do that here in a second. When I play it for you as is, sounds like this. Nothing to really write home about. It's pretty bad actually, but when I put it into Paulstretch, what I do, I go to File on Sibelius, because Sibelius is what I use. Finale has similar settings. I export the audio. It doesn't matter what file kind. It can be a WAV, it can be an MP3, just so long as you get the audio out there. You're going to export it to a place where you know. I put mine in the desktop, and I'll show you that here in a second. If you export and are planning to stretch a lot, you should go with a higher bit depth, which makes a larger file but makes for cleaner stretching. So that's how you're going to export. Once you've got that, you click export and go. I'll take you to where I've done mine already. Here's my desktop audio file. So you can see I've got both of my demos up there already. Open up Audacity, and to get them in, you can either Control-Shift-I, which allows you to import, and then you go to the correct file and import from there. Or you can do what I do, because I'm lazy and it's faster. Let's see, where is it? There it is in the actual folder. You can do what I do. This is easier. Just pull up the folder alongside it, click, hold, and drag it on over into Audacity. It'll ask you if you want to make a copy or just read the files directly from the original. I always make a copy because it's safer. You don't have to. And you can play it. It sounds just the way it did before. Let's get this muted. There you go. So, same as before. Next, what you're going to do, I find it helpful to generate a little bit of silence. I do 1 second just because that's easy. Generate some silence at the beginning of my track. Then highlight the entire track by clicking in this gray area. Go to Effect. I'm going to amplify first by about, I'll do 10 decibels just to make it an even number. And you'll see that that's giving me a better size to work with here. Then I go to Effect, down to Paulstretch, and here I've got 2 things I can fiddle with. One is the stretch factor. If I go to a stretch factor of 1, it will remain the same length. It won't stretch it, make it any longer. If I go to stretch factor of 2, the time of my audio will be 2 times longer. So instead of being whatever it is right now, 15 seconds, it would become 30 seconds. If I go to a stretch factor of 3, it would become 45 seconds because that's 3 times longer. I'm going to do 8 and set my time resolution to 0.5. What that means is it will prepare my stretch sound half a second before the start of its original sound. This can be confusing if you're actually going to compose things to go along with the Paulstretch like I did for my my composition entry, but this is just an introductory demo, so I'll get into that one later. So I've got my stretch factor to 8, my time resolution to half a second. I'm not going to preview because I know how it will sound. When I do that, it takes a second to apply it, and we should end up with an audio that is 8 times longer than the original. There it goes. So you can see now, instead of 15 seconds, we have a 2-minute clip. There you go. You can see it in full. I'm going to trim some of the fat here at the start and let you take a listen to what we have going on here. So if you're following along with what we saw earlier, right now we're here, much slower than before. And mother of all chords. Another changed chords. And here's the bump. There you go. So that's the principle of how this thing works. What I have done is learned how to compose new tracks to go along with it, but also how some of the effects, such as reverb or even delays sometimes, or just straight up equalization, you know, balancing the highs, lows, middles, how some of that will affect it. I'll give you an example. This is a nice, easy one to work with. Reverb. I like big rooms. I don't do any pre-delay because that makes it messy. Let's go to 60%, and we'll shrink some of that as well. That looks alright. Listen to the difference here. Really echoey, almost underwater feel, so I'll apply that. Doesn't take very long, thankfully. You can see it does change my audio just a little bit. One of the bad things about Audacity is it's destructive editing, which means I can't revert back without losing things. Again, if you're following along with the score, so you can hear how the texture changes a little bit between the instruments. I've experimented with different ways of doing this, and I've discovered the way I like best is going to kind of a reduced orchestra feeling. Sometimes I add a choir in here, because you can play not only with the families, but how they interact with each other. It's a very versatile synthesizer that you can make here. It's really cool. And the great part is I've taken 15 seconds of music and stretched it into almost 2 minutes of music. That makes a really, really nice background filler. It's quite nice. Okay, so there we've reached the end of that. Big deal, you might be saying. I mean, it's a 12-tone row. It doesn't really sound that great. What applications can this have outside of what I just showed you? Let me demonstrate with my second write-up that I did, and this is more in keeping with what I did before for my composition entry. Here it is in normal time. Not the greatest. Again, I wrote this in just a few minutes, nothing to really get excited about. Let's amplify it again so that we have a nice set of audio here to work with, and let's trim off some of the end here. First, for this one, I'm actually going to do the reverb. And I like this setting, so I'll keep it here for time's sake. And then we'll run it through the Paulstretch. I'll keep the same settings as before, stretching it to be 8 times longer than it is, so it should be about 64 or 65 seconds long. And each sound will be pre-made by half a second from what it originally was. So that's what these two things stand for. Won't preview, we'll just do it. We'll run it. Very good, and we'll take it back to the beginning. That's kind of sloppy, that's why I have to add the silence at the start so that I don't get that sloppy, abrupt start. But here it is with Paulstretch. And this is where the real butter comes in. This is the money maker for Paulstretch. Everything just sort of mixes together. It gives you a lot of fine control over what is happening when with your synth. I can't think of another way to make this happen, actually. This is the only way that I've heard of a synth sound being made like this. So, I'll do another demo sometime, probably in the next couple of months, about what I did for my composition entry and how I then composed on top of this. We'll get into the mathematics of how to stretch your score out so that it matches what we're audibly hearing, how to line up the starts and line up the impact points, things like that, some ins and outs of that. But hope you enjoyed. Give me some comments, give me some thoughts, and I would love to hear what you think. Thanks. Bye.